Good morning, I'm Nina from Nina's Soap, and this morning I'm going to work on my budget, and I just like to show you how I'm going to work on it. First, we set our spreadsheet for 2020 and we work on our budget. So I will have the video out there and you can look to see how we set our budget fixed for the year. The only reason we will change it would be if there is a major change in our finances. We might change the budget. Other than that, we set our budget fixed, and I estimate our income as well. And you can see our budget. We have minimum for mortgage, and we have all our regular monthly expenses as well. And at the bottom, we have what we want to pay extra toward our mortgage and our credit cards. Below that, we have what we want to save for toward irregular expenses, and we need to come up with $263. But the thing is, because I want my husband to pay his credit cards quickly, the irregular expenses a lot of times come from his income. We live on his income, and the regular expenses that we save for that as well for them with his income. But this year he's going to apply all his income extra toward the payment of his credit card. So we need to come up with ways to save for those expenses, and I intended to cut down on our groceries. So I try 250, it works, but I think 300 based on last year expenses. I track our food expenses, and I will have a spreadsheet for that as well for 2020. And as I total all the expenses for my food budget for last year, for 2019, the total is $3,714.20, and the average is $309.52. So that means 300 is doable for groceries for our household of 6. The second things that I noticed too is when I try to total what we pay toward irregular expenses in 2019, even though I budget $4,100 for the year, we spent $2,360 in irregular expenses. So the total of that divided by 12, or the average for the whole year, is $196.68. So since I cannot come up with $263 to save every month for irregular expenses, I try to cut down on some of our expenses. And the food, since our food fall well be within 300, I set this year 2020's budget for 300 for groceries, and I still have 160 for utilities, but I believe our utilities is 250 in average. So if I go back to last year or 2019's expenses, I calculate the average for gas. The total for the year is 946, and the total for utilities and electricity and water is 2041. So when I calculate the average for each one of them, is $79 for gas and $170 for electricity. So both total to $248.98. So that's what in average it costs us. And as you can see for December, the total for December for both of them is $217.83. So I still set the budget for 160, but I intend to save $75 out of that for irregular expenses. I could easily decrease this to 80 for gas and 170 for electricity. That way I know right away that $75 will go toward our irregular expenses. But I left it there, but then at the bottom here I have a formula that will allow me, each time we fill up the spreadsheet, the budget minus the actual will give me the residual amount that will go toward irregular expenses. So that's how I intend to track it and know how much we save from those expenses, and then put it toward the saving for irregular expenses. But as for the food, right away I decrease it from 375 that we have last year to 300. So $75 will go toward the saving account, and then we'll take 300 out cash for our groceries, and anything left out of that I'll put on the side to shop sales. That's how I stock up on food. So now that we have our budget set, and you can see that I have negative number here, is because I didn't come up with the full $263 for my budget. So that's why, and these numbers here is because I already have the formula here for irregular expenses, the difference between the budget and the actual, to see how much I have left to save. And since I don't have any actual in the spreadsheet, that's why it's still putting the total amount here for me. But as we fill it up, those numbers will change. So we are going to work on the month of January, and I'm going to hide some of this spreadsheet. Okay, just go to data and group. I think I'll be able to group that. So now we have the month of January to fill up, and the way I like to use this spreadsheet is I like to put in our estimate, and as we go through the month, we pay a bill, we just come and change it. We'll have a paper budget as well that my husband will easily access. Since I'm using a spreadsheet here, you could use Google Sheet as well, but I have used it in the past and I like it. But the problem with Google is sometimes it's hard for me to open the spreadsheet and make adjustment when I'm ready to do that. Therefore I move back to my Excel spreadsheet. But because it's on my computer, sometimes it's on USB drive, and my husband and I have access to it when I'm not around. I have a paper budget that he uses. So now I have my spreadsheet here. When he fills up the paper budget, I will take that and I'll just fill up my spreadsheet, because the spreadsheet track all our expenses throughout the year, when the paper budget usually track it for every single month. So now we are going to work on the income area. That's how you fill up the spreadsheet. You'll first put in, you set your budget fixed. Don't change your budget on a monthly basis. But every month, estimate what you think your income will be, what your expenses will be. And as you start the month, you go in and change those data. And by the end of the month, you know how much you really spent. So we are going to put in our expenses, and I think our income. So I have our bank account here, and we live on my husband's income, and we use my income to pay our mortgage so that we can pay off quickly and start investing. So he gets paid twice a month, or every 2 weeks, and we live on last month of his income. If you are living from paycheck to paycheck, try to save 1 month of your expenses, and then you start putting your income toward your saving. You put your income in the saving, and at the end of the month you move it back to the checking for your expenses for that month. So live on last month income. We live on his last month income, but that's how we started. We first save 1 month of our expenses, and then we use that for the month after that, and while we are living on that income that we save his income from the month in our saving, and at the end of the month we move it to the checking for our expenses for the following month. So now we have his income for December that we are going to use in January. So he got paid one somewhere here, and we move it to the saving. He got paid recently, but we have not moved it. So since we are close to I don't like to keep a lot of money in my checking account. I like to just move it to the saving, but we have not done it for the second one. So I'm going to copy those numbers to my spreadsheet. The first one is $843.35. So if we come back here, it's going to be $843.35. If I'm correct, we can go check it again. $843.35, and the second one is $833.31. Plus $833.31. So that's his monthly income for December, which we are going to use in January. So my income, I'm salaried and I'm not paid yet, but because I know the amount, I can just put it here for now. So that gives us an estimate of $4,953.89. So how are we going to spend that money? Try to work on your budget before you even get paid or before you start spending. He gave me a sheet here because I have not given him the paper budget template yet. So he worked on his budget on a paper and gave it to me because he thinks our budget will change for 2020. So he gave it to me and I use it to start the year. So that's what our budget is. We are going to include, for the first month, we can include the same estimates in January, but as we pay them, some of them might change, like the utilities will change. So the mortgage is $931.55. In fact, before we put the mortgage in, let's put our monthly expenses in so that you see how much our basic expenses are. He thinks the internet is going to be $70, and Hulu, he's trying to apply for Hulu $8. So he gave me $77.99 to work with. Phone, we have Taylor, so that's $17.24 for both of us. If you are trying to cut down on your expenses, Taylor is one carrier you can move to until your expenses is better, and then you can choose another carrier if you want. It's okay. I don't have problem. I use it for 2 months. My husband used it for 1 month so far. The only things that I noticed is I'm talking to somebody that is now on Sprint, is now with Sprint. The lines, the other person on the other line, or in the other line, on the other side, the voice seems to, I feel like the voice is distant. That's the only issue that I have. Another second issue that I have that I don't think is related to the company itself is the cell phone. I purchased a refurbished phone from them, and I don't think it's working properly. I charge it quite often, even though that's just a regular phone, not even a smartphone. So that's something to look at if you are trying to apply with them. You don't need to buy the refurbished phone, or you can even look at the model or the brand and look online. You might end up finding it cheaper elsewhere, but their plan gives you the opportunity, they have a lot of plans there that you can customize your own and pay the least amount that you want to pay until you get out of debt and want something more convenient and more a higher quality. We used to be with Verizon, and I have a video on that, what we save from Verizon and our cable within 10 years, in fact, what we spent within 10 years was 28,000 cable and phone combined. 28,000 we could have put down as a down payment toward a rental property. So that's how you should be analyzing your expenses. If it's not a necessary expense, ask yourself how much you will be paying toward that within 5 years, or for 5 years or 10 years, and say if it's really worth your time because you work so hard for your money. Should you be spending that on those expenses that are not necessary when you are not financially secure or financially independent or not financially successful? So our next expense here is trash, $19. Our gas is 1cc. I'm going to keep it like that, but I think the gas will go up a little bit, but not 1cc, and electricity and water will go down a little bit. So, but I'm going to keep 1cc here as well. Car gas 55. Bus ticket $10. In fact, bus ticket we are not going to have anything there, but we are just going to move that $10 in saving. But it gives my husband an idea by having those numbers there to know how much he will have left in his income to apply toward his credit card extra payments. So the food is going to be $300. Charity, he's thinking about CC, and our allowances is CC. So we have credit card debt payment minimum here. That's just the minimum, $250. So that gives us a total of $1,169.23. That's what our expenses will be. And I have not put the mortgage. And if I put the mortgage 131.55, our total expenses is $2,178. But as we start paying those bills, some of them will go down. So now I didn't put anything under extra mortgage here. I like to feel that when I'm ready to pay, because we don't know, we have a single property that we maintain until we renovate it to rent it out. We pay for utilities there as well. So I might need some money there, but I think I'll put, why not? I can put 500 as an estimate here. And I think at the bottom of my spreadsheet, I have those calculations here. That I can reduplicate here. So pretty much what it is our basic expenses. Let me see if it's working properly. So our basic expenses here from internet to allowances is $900. Without credit cards or mortgage is $919. That's how we lower our expenses. And I know that what we'll pay in utilities will be lower than 1cc each. So that means this amount will go down as well. But the difference we'll just put in the saving toward our irregular expenses. So here 1,169 is our minimum, our basic 919 plus the 250 that he will pay toward his credit cards, the minimum payment. So he has $507 left out of his income that he could easily apply toward the extra. Let's see what that is from it. So it's taking his income minus the living expenses, including the minimum credit cards, and minus irregular expenses. So pretty much what that is, this is going to tell him how much he has left to use to apply toward his credit cards. We have extra debt payments to put on that line. So we budget 355, but because of the number that'll go here will come out of here. Whatever we save out of the gas and electricity will give him an idea how much he will have left. So right now we have $507 there that he could apply toward his credit card easily, in addition to the 250. And this one is giving me how much I have left out of the second income to apply toward the mortgage. And this is taking my income minus the minimum mortgage, my income minus the minimum mortgage, and minus investment. So since I put 500 here toward investment, it's telling me that I have 1,800 that I can pay toward additional principal. So I'll put that amount here. So that will be 1845, I believe. Let's go back and check. 1845.68. So that's how we fill up our spreadsheet. We'll first fill it up with those estimates to give us an idea that we have enough income in to face our expenses. And as we pay them, we come back and change those numbers. And that way we have a record of our actual expenses for every single month to compare to our budget that we save or that we set at the beginning of the year. Thank you for watching. I'm Nina from Nina's Soap.